Many Africans have been sold a lie, and the lie is the American dream or the European dream. That, irrespective of the challenges that you're going through in Africa, don't worry. Just look for money, save up, leave the continent by whatever means. Once you land in America or Europe, things are going to align for you. It is a lie. It's always been a lie. And even now in this hyperinflation economy where jobs are hard to come by, it's a bigger lie. And Africans are now paying the brunt. So many of them are stuck in America and Europe, and they have nothing to do, nowhere to go, and don't even have the means to come back to the African continent because they just can't comprehend the fact that they risked everything for nothing.
The main perspective in the life in Europe is the same as the life they call it in the hell.
In hell?
Say, the life in Europe is life in the hell. Because in Europe, everything based on documents.
Documents, right.
And if you are not having documents, what are you going to do? Italian have a word called black job, which is lavoro nero.
Right.
That is what we are going to do. And we are going to work.
That? What is a black
lavoro
job?
nero means work without contract.
Okay.
You go to farm to go
farms.
and plug maybe oliver from 8, sometimes 7:30 up to 5 o'clock in the evening time, in this heat, and they are going to give you 25 euro.
How much is that?
25 euro without food.
You can't survive on that.
You cannot survive on that in Italy here, because if you are paying house rent, you are paying baller bill, you are paying condominium, you are paying water bill, lifestyles, plus what you are going to eat, increase of your shelter.
Hello there, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of our conversations. My name is Ondiro Oganga. I'm a business journalist by profession and a digital content creator. I love coming on here and talking to you guys about Black people, Africans, our empowerment, and how we can rise up and take our rightful place at the global stage. Today, I want to talk about 77% episode that DW did a while back. So there is a rising number of immigrants in Europe, particularly from West Africa, who risk everything to leave the African continent and find their way to Europe. Let me just contextualize this a little bit. I lived in Ghana for a while, 2 years to be specific, and it was very new and very interesting for me because as a Kenyan, at least in my little world that I lived in Kenya, we were not that committed to leaving our country and go to America until I got to Ghana, and literally almost every young person I met was working towards leaving the country. America, Europe, Canada, anywhere but that country. And it's a problem not just in Ghana, West Africa, and now by extension Africa, because now Kenya has also lost the privilege that it had, and everybody is just trying to leave because these economies are literally not working. They're not serving us, they're not helping us, there are no jobs, and when you get jobs, the pay is not good, and you're being abused at work, and the conditions are not favorable. And you think to yourself, maybe if I find my way to America or Europe, things might be better. Irrespective of the job I get, at least I'll get a job, I'll make a decent living, and I can build up. Isn't that the American dream? You find your way in, maybe you go back to school, you graduate, get a job, get a house, get a car, get a wife, get kids, and eventually get citizenship, the green card, the passport, right? But it doesn't work like that anymore. At least not for the majority of young people that are risking their life. What is currently happening is young people are selling everything that they have. Their parents are selling everything that they have so they can cross by the desert. Remember, immigration rules have become more stringent. So people are immigrating illegally to these countries, anything to get out of the country. And people are taking the most dangerous routes to leave the African continent. People are crossing the desert. I don't know how to put this to you, but the desert has the harshest conditions known to mankind. It's so hot during the day and extremely cold during the night. And because of how long the journey is, eventually you run out of supplies, Then you meet very brutal police at the border, who will take you and probably take you back and dump you halfway in the desert. If you're trying to cross by sea, the conditions in the sea can be very rough. And so Africans are risking everything that they have to cross over to the other side. When they get to the other side, what is waiting for them? Challenges. And these are not challenges that you cannot navigate, because one, you got there illegally, so getting papers is not easy. Getting a hold of papers is not easy, and this is a system where papers are everything. So if you don't have the right papers, then you can't get a job, you can't get a driving license, you can't get a social security number, then you're just another Jendo. Like, you don't exist in the system. And employers know this. When you don't exist in the system, you can't, it's almost like you don't exist in that place. You go from even just basic things. You can't access healthcare. You can't access transport. You can't access even housing can be a challenge sometimes. And some of these things just outside of paperwork, they require money. That brings me to the next point. Jobs. There are literally little to no jobs that you can do if you're an illegal immigrant, right? Because who wants to hire somebody who's an illegal immigrant? It's against the laws of the country. So whatever job you get, it's going to be manual jobs, and these are jobs that do not pay well, and they are hard jobs. The conditions are hard, and your employer knows that you really need this job, so they will treat you whichever way they want, because there's nobody or no system in place that protects you. The system does not even know you exist in that place. You can die and nobody cares. Nobody will press charges because, first of all, you never existed in that system. And you know why they take it and they endure it? Because they have families at home. Families that sold everything to ensure that they leave the country and make their way to Europe or America to chase that dream. And the family, literally, I don't want to say they do not care, but also they do not care. You're in America, do whatever it takes. Send money back home, support the family. That was part of the deal. And so you're abroad and you're juggling so many things and so many challenges, you know. And this just breaks my heart, but also warms my heart, because it's very important for Africans who are there to stop romanticizing life in Europe and America and start telling people the actual truth. Because when we know the truth, then we think twice about immigrating, particularly immigrating illegally. And that will push us to start rethinking, how do we improve the systems and structures on the African continent? We need this place to work. This is our home. And that begins by making the right political decisions, then ensuring that we have strong institutions that ensure checks and balances in the political system. And if these people do not do their due diligence that they promised us during the election cycle, by the next election cycle, we do not retrieve into our tribal cocoons and become idiots once again. We vote based off of somebody's track record and meritocracy.
TV, by the social media, call it Facebook, whatever.
Right.
The images we see there are disillusional. This create false conception in the youth. You know, we are talking about youth who think that what they see on the movies they watch in their poor conditions are actually true of Europe. It's a disillusion. When they arrive here, they feel that it's not the dreamland. You know, this is the fiasco that has become a generational stuff,
right.
And that is much of the time we are not talking about only labor drainage. We are also talking about brain drainage, because
right.
we are talking about the youth. Mama, Africa is suffering because what are the sources that people are believing? The colonial stories,
right.
or what their brothers, what we are speaking now, so that people who are speaking as our brothers do not brave through the Sahara Desert or do not take the Mediterranean Sea.
Right.
That's a cemetery we are calling.
This
is the worst post-modern genocide that is killing Africa, and I call this a generational destruction.
Right.
We are not only talking about those people who lost their life here. I've seen a lot of dry bones, dry people, dry skulls, more in the Sahara Desert that I cannot see here. And
right.
anyone who are brave through never thought he is going to make it.
Yeah.
It was just on luck. Why do people have to be constrained to make this thing? Most of our brothers and sisters, what they do here is to go and take a picture in front of a Ferrari, and that's really disinformation, misinformation.
It's not true. It's
and
not
this
the reality.
is why this type of whatever you call it, irregular
Right,
migration,
right,
whatever,
right.
those prejudices, I don't accept it. But this is what lead to migration begetting itself.
Right, right. And I want to come to you, Ishmael, because
Most of us, our parents sell their property to let us travel,
Right.
because of what our senior brothers who entered into Europe first came and sell it back home.
Okay.
That if you want to get a better life at the age of 18 to 35, the best place for you to enter is Europe. And which is not true.
Elijah, you...
Main perspective in the life in Europe is the same as the life they call it in the hell.
In hell?
Say, the life in Europe is life in the hell. Because in example in Europe, everything based on documents.
Documents, right.
And if you are not having documents, what are you going to do? Italian have a word called black job, which is lavoro nero.
Right.
That is what you are going to do. And you are going to work.
That? What is a black
Lavoro
job?
nero means work without contract.
Okay.
You go to farm
To
to
the
go
farms.
and plug maybe oliver from 8, sometimes 7:30 up to 5 o'clock in the
In this
evening
heat.
time,
In
in this
this
heat, and they are going
It's
to
hot.
give you 25 euro,
How much is that?
25 euro without food.
You can't survive on that.
You cannot survive on that in Italy here, because if you are paying house rent, you are paying boiler bill, you are paying condominium, you are paying water bill, lifestyles, plus what you are going to eat, increase of your shelter.
I'll leave it there because I want to come back to you.
He said very important stuff there because it boils to the document. Yeah, in Italy, well, number one thing that's really important is the document. At first, it's not really easy, you know. For I know, like when I came, it was
Right.
not easy, you know, because you have to go through the process, and even the process it takes time, you know. And upon this, you know, you get pressures from different aspects of your life. Like most of us, like immigrants, we have pressures from home, you know. When we come there, like when we come to Italy, people call, like our parents call, family call, like, can you send me this? Can you do this? Can you do that? Not they forgot about, like, you have this like pressure that you are in a new place, you know.
Ishmael, so
Personally, I want to speak to our politicians, and I call them sellouts, you know, because they are not looking at the interests, the needs, the vulnerability that constrain people to migrate. Because to the Gambia or to Senegal, to African political leaders, it is convenient, even if we die in the streets, even if we die in the sea, as much as we can send remittances, it is convenient for them that we, the youths who are potential revolutionaries, leave the country and let them to dictate. So I am telling Africans who are there that I am guilty for being here. If you come here, you are running from your work. You are running from changing Africa, and the generations that will become failures as well. I contributed to it, and you are also contributing to it. So if I am speaking, and if you can hear me today, I am saying I should get back, and then we should work on what is happening, because the future is in Africa. But the real question is the future in Africa for Africans? Are we talking about Chinese colonialists, or we are talking about multinationals who have stole us the traditional livelihoods that in fact we hate ourselves? Africa is still a colonial economy. So it depends on what people are running from. We cannot talk about the solution without talking about the causes of the problems.
Right.
It will be false that we will talk about, okay, people will stay there. Which we all live in one system, capitalism, that create illusions in everyone. I want to live in a house. It doesn't matter whether I live in the village or not. Who am I not to hope that I need the best for myself? We are slaved everywhere. We are discriminated. We are stigmatized. And I am not saying this is particularly Italy, but what are the other European countries who are helping Italy with the load of the migration since 2015? Why is Africa enslaved? We aren't poor. We will never be poor. The future is still there. The question is, who is this future for? Is it for Africans when we all run from the things that we should try to make up there?
Well, that's all I had for you this episode of our conversations. My name is Ondiro Oganga. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you again next time.